guys, welcome back. This week we're going to talk a little bit about bad posture and it's linked to headaches. I remember kind of growing up and thinking there was only one type of headache, the migraine headache, because people would be like, oh, I have a headache or I have a migraine, right? Or do you have a migraine? And you kind of study and then realize that there's actually 14 different types of headaches, and with each different type of headache there's different symptoms, right? And I wanted to kind of have this conversation because knowledge is power, right? And understanding, one, that there's different types of headaches, and then also understanding that if you get the diagnosis right, it means that the treatment is going to be a lot more effective or possibly work, So really, I guess I can't really talk about all 14 types of headaches, and I hope that you'll take the initiative too if you do struggle with headaches. But here's something, right, is if you do struggle with headaches, go see your healthcare provider. Have them, kind of work through the symptoms that you have, and then do a couple of tests, and then just see what type of headache do you have, right? So I wanted to talk about tension headaches in this video, and the next one I'm going to talk about cervicogenic headaches, which is basically headaches that originate from the neck. And then in the third video, I wanted to talk about headaches that come from the front of the neck, and so the SCM muscles, right? So really, tension headaches, let's talk a little bit about that. These headaches tend to come on after a really stressful day, and it's interesting that I think we spoke about this a while ago when we talked about fight or flight, right? What's your posture during fight or flight? Typically, it's going to be that rounded shoulders, that ears up to, your shoulders up to your ears, right? And you're ready for battle. Now, in order for you to hold these postures, it means that certain muscles need to be in constant contraction to create the movement, and other muscles need to be contracting to kind of help balance. So we've got agonist, antagonist muscles, right? Because everything about our body is balance. Now, when you're in these positions for a really long time, what's going to happen is that you're going to have these tight and strong muscles. So these guys kind of holding you in this posture, and then you're going to get tight and weak. Now, when we talk about tight, we're really talking about the fact that they are still contracting, right? And so within these tight and weak muscles, and these typically, when you have tight and strong in the front, you're going to have tight and weak in the back. And now what's going to happen there is that we're going to have something called myofascial trigger points. Now, a lot of us know these as muscle knots. And so if you just put your hand on your shoulder and you're someone that has a lot of tension or is dealing with a lot of stress, you'll kind of rub here, and it feels a little bit better when you do, right? And I'll explain to you why. But you'll typically find these like little balls or knots, and those tend to be a little bit tender and irritable, right? Now, here's the thing, is these guys can actually refer pain, right? So they can refer pain either down your arm or down your back into your head. And when we're looking at a tension headache, we're looking at a headache that typically feels like this band around your head, right? And you may have a little bit of photophobia. So what that is just like sensitivity to light. But with your tension headaches, you typically don't have any sort of throwing up, so no nausea. But you have that, so and it just feels like everything is just really tense. So what do you want to do there? One, just from a stress management perspective, and then also from the tension perspective, you want to hold yourself in proper posture, right? So if you are constantly, finding yourself in this position, drop your shoulders. And then remember, like I said to you, is we want to tuck our shoulder blades into our back pockets, right? So that we're activating the back. And then that's going to do is just like I spoke about in a couple of videos before about that postural feedback loop, is just help us kind of step out of a fight or flight mode and just help put us into a little bit more of a parasympathetic or rest and digest. But then also what it's going to do is help bring that balance between the front and the back, right? So then what's going to happen there is that we don't have this constant contraction in the front. And then we've also got this, we don't have this almost supportive nature in the back that ends up just putting these muscles in fatigue. And then the fatigue ends up causing the headaches inherently. Tension headaches, very interesting enough, people tend to just take a painkiller. Remember, pain isn't necessarily a bad thing. I like to think of pain as a warning sign. It's that you've had dysfunction for a while and now your body's going, hey, listen, we have dysfunction, we need to sort this out. Now, if you've got a bleeping light on your dashboard, I'm pretty sure that you're not just going to put a band-aid over it. You want to find out what is the cause of the bleeping light and then fix it, right? It's the same with our body. What is causing the pain? So if it is a tension headache, what I would suggest is, one, you want to try and get as much blood supply to the trapezius muscle, and you want to try and get as much stretch in the front. So that stretch is really going to look like that in doorway stretch that I showed you a couple of videos ago, where you've got your hand in the doorway and you're just pushing forward to give yourself a little bit of a stretch here. You want to put some heat, like a wheat bag, over your traps. Now, when we think about muscle, right, the dysfunction happens here. When it's constantly contracted and it's tight and weak, the myofascial trigger points basically cut off the micronutrients, so the micro blood supply. So we've got a cut off of nutrition into that specific segment, but then we've also got a cut off or reduction of toxins out of that muscle. Now your toxins, your lactic acid buildup, that inflammation is all going to cause pain, right? So you want to get as much blood supply to the area, which is probably why when you're feeling very tense, people tend to do this and rub, because that rubbing is really just one, it's just kind of helps in pain, kind of pain management. But the other thing that it does is just rubbing it is going to get some blood supply to the area, right? What are your options? If you are struggling with this, you want to see a chiropractor. Why do I say so? The chiropractic adjustments actually help with pain perception or reduction in pain perception, right? Which I think is amazing, and that's going to go across the board for every single headache. Research when it comes to chiropractic and headache is amazing. Please go and check it out, right? And read these articles so that you can find an alternative way to deal with pain. We are recognizing that although painkillers are necessary in some instances, the side effects of some of these painkillers that people are taking are actually worse, or not actually worth the side. So the side effects are not worth the benefit. So what I really want you to do is just make sure that you're getting some heat, you're going to see your chiropractor, maybe getting some dry needles to get more blood supply to that area, and then practicing your posture. Okay, cool. Thank you for watching. Check out my next video, and we're doing cervicogenic headaches and bad posture. Cheers.